Welcome to another episode of Supercharged Life. So, as you will have got from the last couple of episodes, I'm digging straight into things here. And look, I don't want to mess around, I don't want to waste no time, and we just want to get straight to the nitty gritty. But what today's podcast is about is talking of the life lessons that I've had that have got me to the place I am now, and understanding the way that you need to approach your life to get the most out of it. Because when you think about successful people, there are so many ways to break down what success actually looks like. And ultimately, success is not an object, it's not a thing, it's an individual person's emotions. And think about that for a moment. It's success is your emotions of what you see success to be. And it really is as simple as that. That's why you get so many, billionaires that are really unhappy because they thought they wanted the money, but then what comes with that is the stress of life and everything else that they've probably found themselves neglecting in life. One thing for me is to balance everything so that I don't become obsessed with anything, because personally I'm a very obsessive person. And one of the lessons that I learned over the years, I've spent hundreds of thousands on mentoring, personal development, all different types of coaching and training systems that I've learned and started to implement into my life and with myself and my business and my family and everything else. And one of the big things that I've learned is that there is no blueprint for how you live your life. And that might sound very obvious, but once upon a time, I thought there was, because, I thought that every successful person got up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I thought every successful person read books. They had really good grades. They had great relationships. They had loads of money and they didn't have any worries. When actually, when you're working through, like, let's say mentoring, and, I've been to who I would call the best in the industry for mentoring. And when you look at the types of people you work with, they are in a position because of their own actions, not because of what they teach people to do. It's a really important lesson, that is, because if you do the things that the successful people do, you are looking for the blueprint of what they've done in their life to be successful. Now, that's not saying that they're teaching it wrong, because that is not the point at all. But if you do and you mimic those guys, you are not those guys. So you will always struggle to connect with exactly how they've done theirs. It's a little bit like, I'm sure you can imagine, whether it's yourself or someone else, a job that's a skilled job. There's certain ways that, that you do, let's say bricklaying. You get taught a certain way, but then there'll be certain things, and I'm not talking from experience here, but there'll be certain things that some guys will do it slightly different. And that's not to cut corners, that's nothing of the sort of that, but in regards to they just find it easier to do it a different way round. And when you understand in life that there are multiple ways to be successful in, whether it's a job, a direction, a relationship, building strength, whatever it is, fitness, again, you could look at strength and fitness as an area that there is no one way to do it. But when you understand that there is so many different ways and you've got to find out your way, that's when it becomes really, really powerful. So again, there is no blueprint. There is no certain way to do things. And I used to go through with mentorships, trying to mimic the mentor, trying to mimic the people around me. And as much as it was inspiring to be around those people and it was what I needed, I wasn't connecting with the true way of me being successful. So it took me quite some years. And I found out, myself, because I'm a very hands-on, practical type of person, I always put the admin, the theory and all that sort of stuff to a side and thought, I'm so good at what I do here, I don't need to do that. And what I then found later on in life, up until probably 6-7 years ago now, that all that stuff mattered so much that I was then behind. So look, I want to give you some thoughts and things to help you balance your work life and be successful in everything you do. But I've got 3 things that I'm going to walk you through that are golden things to implement into your life that is definitely going to help you to get that work-life balance, be successful, continue your journey, whether it be, most of the guys that listen to this are fathers, business owners, or high performers in some way, shape or form, and they want to get the most out of their life. They want to focus on being a better dad, a better partner or husband, a better person to be around wherever they are, but also have that successful direction of their workplace or business or whatever it is. And that's the feedback I get from people that are listening to this, because, you know, to be the best at all these, it's really hard. And there's no one way that fits all, as I say, but there's also no way of understanding what to do first. So, and it's, you know, the reason why in LMX I teach the 5 flames of life, because it's about being aware of every single area so you're not neglecting anything. So number 1 then is to systemize your life. Now, when I say systemize your life, it's going to sound and look pretty boring in the respect of life in general shouldn't be systemized. And it's something I used to think quite some time ago, where I love to do sporadic things. I love to have fun doing different things and decide all of a sudden I'm going away or I'm buying something or whatever it may be. But if you don't systemize these things and you don't plan things and you don't have, let's say, systems in place so that you are successful in your steps, then you always feel like you're running after and chasing those buzz moments. So when it comes to sort of like systemizing your life, it's making sure that you have your calendar in your phone and you live by it. Now, I'm not to say that you need to live by every single second of the day. And if I'm honest, like quite some time ago, I would have my diary so packed up, because I would say, you know, one of my weaknesses is saying yes to everybody. I'd have my diary so packed up that I'd actually get to a point where, first of all, it felt great because I understood my day and I woke up and I'm like, right, this is what I'm doing today. But then it got to a point later on down the line where I was then anxious of my day, because it was like, I've got too much on today. I can't do this. And then one person asked me to do something outside of that, I would then just melt down. So something I've moved on to now is to having a couple of blank spaces in my diary. And again, I'd be lying if I said I've mastered it, because I still struggle with it now. But it's something that, again, that's a system that I have in place to make sure that, one, if it's in my diary, it happens. It could be going out with for me, it's going out with Sarah, right? It could be for you going out with friends or your missus or partner or whoever it is, right? It could be going out for dinner with your parents. Again, people try to not put that type of thing in their diary because they think, well, that's my social life and it doesn't really need to be planned and everything else. But the point is here, if you don't plan it, it's not going to happen. And if you are trying to systemize your life and systemize everything that you do, you need to have a plan in place. You need to have things that are keeping you on track so that you are not in a place where you are forgetting things and then kicking yourself for forgetting. So that's one of the biggest things I would say is systemize your life. And another great one is to have, for your business and for your direction, your you know, whether it be your own business or you work for somebody or whatever it is, but have a plan in place. And this is a really smart thing for, even if it's not your business, have some form of projection plan in place. I typically like to use Asana. If you've never used it, have a quick look on Google and you'll see it. But with Asana, you lay everything out and you have your focus points, you have your things that you're working towards, you can tick them off as you work to them. And even if you're working for somebody else, if they're not doing that type of thing for you and they're not helping you grow, then do it yourself, because having such of a system like that is so powerful and it really keeps you on top of things and driving things forward. Number 2 then is to work on your relationships. So quite simply, it's something that I've done massively in the last year. I lost touch with people. I become so obsessed with training and work that I just slowly started to not see the people that I do actually want to see. So this is that whole, like, you know, work on your relationships, understand who you want in your life. And when I say that as well, understand who you don't want in your life. So working on your relationships can be working on the people you want to bring closer to you and have often contact with, but then also have the people that you don't want contact with. Because look, I'm not going to preach to you that you need to be best friends with your family. It would be a wrong thing to say. And I truly believe that the people that mean the most to you will always be there and will always support you and will always lift you up. Now, there is periods that obviously people are having, let's just say, bad periods of their life where they're not able to support you, and that's where you then support them more. But when you think about the relationship of people that you have around you, do they lift you up or are they draining you? Because again, if they are draining you, question yourself. Why are you spending time with these people? If it's somebody that you feel that you do need to stay in contact with, then minimize the amount that you have contact with them. And I say this all the time, but it's not selfish, it's self-driven. You're driving your life into a bigger, better, successful area, as opposed to allowing people to drain you and drag you down. So work on your relationships, work on, your partner. Have you got enough days that you're going out together, doing things together? For me, I've got 2 kids and a dog. And if me and Sarah don't have enough time, just us, then we start to feel like our connection slips slightly. And that's normal. That is completely normal for people in a relationship. And if you're in a relationship and you're listening to this, think about that. Like, how often are you spending time with your partner? How often are you going out your way to do nice things? Or it may be the nice message, to show that you're there, to show your connection is there, and to be the person that you want to be for them. So in turn, they then appreciate you more and they then be the person that you want. That's how connection works, right? And it's something that for quite some time, I'm always very transparent with this, with these podcasts. I want to tell, the complete truth, but for quite some time, I wasn't that person to my family, and I didn't realize I was doing it, but it's because I was too focused on my direction and where I was going. So again, that's why I built the system, the 5 flames, so that we're able to look at everything and analyze it and constantly work on it. Something I'll say to you very straight and direct: if you're not working on yourself and you're not working on your relationships, your family, your direction, your training, and all these areas of your life, you will find yourself neglecting something, and it will bite you in the ass, because at some point you will realize it's gone, or it's too late, or things have changed too much, and that's where things grow apart. So I'm personally very grateful that I hit a point where I really, had to change my life and adapt to my relationships. And then the last one then, number 3, is to think big but work small. Now, when I say this, I want you to understand exactly what I mean. We need to think big, right? And I'm a massive, massive believer of, whenever somebody thinks about where they want to go, what stops them thinking further than what they say? What is the thing that's stopping them? For example, if somebody says they want to earn 10K a month, why 10K? It's a great number, and I get it. It might be a stepping stone, etc. But why would you limit yourself to 10K? Why not 20? Why not 30? If somebody says they want to deadlift 300 kg, why not 350? Why not 400? And again, it could be looked at as an extreme mentality of, but why do you need to go extreme? But the question of why do you stop there is because most of the time when we aim for something, we don't actually hit that. We hit below it, because things go wrong, things change, pressure gets added, etc. So if you go that little bit further than normal and think bigger, you will then hit somewhere underneath that, which will be then ahead of where you aimed for before, which you didn't achieve anyway. So I always urge people to think bigger than they actually think, to push their mental capacity, to push their physical capacity of being able to think where they can reach in life. Because if you think bigger than you already think, a lot of the time you'll earn just under it and actually be well ahead of where you ever thought you'd be anyway. But it's understanding that perspective of seeing how you see that area, as opposed to feeling like, I didn't get what I set out. So if you go bigger, you will always get less, but it's higher than what you set out before. And then obviously the whole work small side of things. So work small is in work detailed. So work on the small things, work on the finer things, because when you start to, for example, in a business, build a team, if you focus on each individual person in your team to get them up to a really good standard, they will then pass that on to everybody else. You will be leading by example, and each cog of your machine, if you want to put it like that, will be working to its maximum capacity, which in turn will allow you to step higher up and actually work on the business as opposed to in the business. But again, when we're thinking about where we want to go, it could be you're planning something that's a really big thing. So again, think big, but make sure you work on the finer detail. Make sure you plan every single step so you're not thinking too big, but then not having an actual plan in place for you to move forward and really attack it. So I hope you got some nuggets out of this podcast. This is a brand new series, so please, give me feedback, share, and I want to be able to give as much knowledge and wisdom and experience from my life and what I've done and where I've built myself to right now. So please share this and, rate the podcast as well so we can keep the momentum going, and I will keep sharing this wisdom with you, and I hope you supercharge your life.